We can start whenever you are ready.
Well, let us begin again with correlations and see how to put all this together.
Okay, so in this session, I want to discuss correlating multiple divisional charts. How do you compare different divisional charts, see the links between them? And I was convinced even a couple of decades back that there should be some correlation between multiple divisional charts. And I was basically looking at planets and the houses they were placed in, the signs they were placed in, and seeing the links. But I was expecting some correlations with respect to longitudes, some close aspects between the longitudes of planets in different divisional charts. And I wasn't really seeing any consistent results in the past. So I never discussed this. But after I switched to Pushyapaksha Namsa, after I change the definitions of divisional charts, after all the refinement in the last several years, I see some consistent results, so I can discuss that for the first time. So basically what I'm talking about is the conjunctions and aspects are not just between Jupiter of Dasamsa and Mercury of Dasamsa. They may be between Jupiter of Dasamsa and Mercury of Navamsa. There may be between Jupiter of Vimshamsa and Saturn of Navamsa. In other words, like I said earlier, all these planets, it's not like there are different charts and they are like totally different. The Rasi positions of various planets, Navamsa positions of various planets, Dasamsa positions of various planets, these are simply longitudes that all exist in the same zodiac. And Parashara did not say make different charts. We just make different charts because if all the Navamsas of planets are in one chart, if all the Dasamsas of planets are in one chart, it's just convenient for us to analyze because their interactions are more interesting than other interactions. It's just the way we abstract it. But really, what Parashara defined is how to find longitudes of the physical position, Navamsa position, Dasamsa position, Vimshamsa position, etc. of all planets. So that is what Parashara defined. These are all just longitudes that exist in the same zodiac. So Jupiter of Rasi, suppose he's at 5 degree in Leo. And let's say at 5 degree in Aries, there is Mercury of Vimshamsa. There may be aspect from the Jupiter to the Mercury. The D10 Jupiter may be aspecting D20 Mercury. So what does it mean? I want to just, instead of giving a lot of theory or a lot of boring explanation, let's just dig into examples because that is the best way to learn. So the basic idea is if there is a close conjunction or aspect, and here we are talking about something again very close, like in the case of stationary transits, we want something within 3-4 degrees. We don't want to take something 15 degrees apart and discuss that because that may or may not be that important. So something very close within 5 degrees or so, 4-5 degrees. If there is a close conjunction or aspect of one particular planet in one divisional chart with another planet in another divisional chart, there is some confluence between, there is some influence of one aspect of one area of life on another aspect of another area of life, because each divisional chart shows one area of life. And each house in the divisional chart shows various aspects of that area of life. For example, in D10, Lagna shows the way you conduct in your career, your profession. Second house shows the resources that you have for your work. Third house shows the initiative that you have for your work. Fourth house shows the sense of direction that you have in your work. Fifth house shows the following that you have in your work. Sixth house shows the obstacles that you have to overcome in your work, and so on. Similarly, in D20, eighth house shows your the effort that you put in your sadhana. The fifth house shows your mantra, your purapunya, right? The sixth house shows any obstacles you have in your sadhana, your siddhis, etc. Seventh house shows your interactions relating to spirituality, and so on. So like this, you have all these in various divisional charts, and there may be some conjunctions or aspects of planets, and then you want to see what those planets stand for in the respective charts, and see, okay, there is some relation between these two aspects of this person's lives. Two areas of life have this interaction. Okay, so this is the basic idea. The idea is very logical and very simple. Now the thing is, and like I said, I had this idea for a couple of decades, but it never really, I could not make sense of it, and now I can make sense of it. So let me start with some examples. We'll start with Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. So I already opened Rajiv Gandhi's chart here. let's take his D10 and D12. Because as for those who don't know Rajiv Gandhi, he was a reluctant politician. His younger brother Sanjay Gandhi was groomed to be the heir of his mother Indira Gandhi. And after Sanjay Gandhi was killed or he died in a crash, in a plane crash, Rajiv Gandhi was quickly brought into politics, and he was still reluctant. And finally, when his mother died, she was assassinated. He had to plunge into politics. He was made prime minister suddenly. So he got power very suddenly, and after that he was basically in politics for a few years before he also was assassinated. So let's see the links between the Dvadashamsha chart and the Dashamsha chart. You can see that there is Mars here and there are these planets here. Okay, and let's see if there are any links in terms of longitudes themselves. Where is Mars in D12 chart? In D12 chart, by the way, in D12 you have to use the reverse definition. Basically, in Aries, that 12 parts will go from Aries to Pisces, but in Taurus, they will not go from Taurus to Aries as people do. They go from Aries. They start from the reverse. So they go Aries to Taurus. So what Parasara taught is that the 12 parts of a sign are mapped to the 12 signs starting from that sign. So for Aries, it is Aries to Pisces, but for even signs, you have to count in reverse. So when you count in reverse, the 12 parts of Taurus go from Taurus to Aries. So if you count forward, it should be Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, so on, and Taurus. And also, if you do that, there's a nice progression. You go Aries to Pisces, then Aries to Taurus, then Gemini to Taurus, then Gemini to Cancer. So you can see that you are going forward and backward. There is never a jump. You are always going to either the next sign or the previous sign. So this is a simple, nice progression, and I believe that that is consistent with Parasara's teachings, and also it gives more consistent results with the in the matters of parents. So use this chart. Okay, so and I'm not sure if this is part of author recommended settings. There are two settings in Jehora. One is default calculation options. This basically sets Lahiri Ainamsha, standard definitions of divisional chart. This is basically the mainstream, what 99% of Jyotishis use. And then this basically sets what I prefer, what I recommend. But this may not have been updated because I revealed this only recently. So you may want to, if you're using this, still you may need to change this manually. And I think same with D7. D7 also you have to count reverse. So here, Mars is at 1 degree 53 minutes Leo. So he's around 2 degree Leo. And see these planets in the Dashamsha. Is anybody close to that longitude? Yeah, Moon is at 2 degree. Mars is also close. He's at 6.5 degree. And Venus is far away. Okay, so Venus is far away, but Moon and Mars.
Saturn is at 3 Scorpio.
Okay, Saturn is at 3 Scorpio. That's good. That's also useful. Okay, so Saturn is at 3 Scorpio, and then these two planets. So Mars is having an aspect on all these planets. Okay, on this Moon and Mars combination, and this Saturn. And what does Mars here show? He's in the 8th house. A malefic in the natural malefic in the 8th house is not a good placement for him. It shows a sudden blow or something like that. And Mars is the 4th lord of mother. So more 4th lord of mother in the 8th house will show some shock or some sudden event, sudden unfortunate event relating to mother. So this Mars shows some. Also remember that he's in Gandanta, right? 1 degree 53 minute in Leo is Gandanta. So he's in deep Gandanta. And people may say, oh, in the Dvadashamsha, is there a Gandanta? Well, think that this Mars is actually in this chart itself. There is a MA with a subscript of 12. Imagine that there is a MA 12 here, which is the Dvadashamsha of Mars. In the same chart, you can superimpose all positions on the same chart. Really, that is really what Parasara taught. So it's in the same zodiac. So the first 3 degree 20 minutes of Leo is Gandanta, deep Gandanta. And so Mars is in deep Gandanta. So he shows some unpleasant, unfortunate, sudden event relating to mother. And what do this Mars and Moon show here and Saturn? See, Moon is the 8th lord in the 3rd house. Mars is the 12th lord in the 3rd house. So the 6th lord Venus, 8th lord Moon, and the 12th lord Mars, all the 3 Dusthana lords are in the 3rd house. So when the Dusthana lords are together, that is known as Viparita Rajoga, sudden rise, unexpected sudden rise from a bad situation at somebody else's cost, often. So, or you suffer, and suddenly you rise. Or somebody suffers and you suddenly rise because of it unexpectedly. That is what Viparita Rajoga shows. So 6th Lord, 8th Lord and 12th Lord being in the 3rd house, and also 3rd Lord himself, both the 3rd Lords are in the 12th house. So that really completes it. There is a very nearly perfect Viparita Rajoga between all these planets. So that shows that this person will have a sudden unfortunate rise. And 3 of those planets, of those 4 planets, Saturn, Moon and Mars are closely aspected by Mars. So this unexpected sudden bad event relating to mother will have a close link to the sudden rise of the person, the fructification of the Viparita Rajoga in that person's life in career. There is a strong link between them. Okay, so this can give you a clue that there is a possibility of the person rising suddenly from mother's misfortune or some shock relating to mother. Of course, can you predict that mother will be assassinated? Maybe not. Maybe mother will be sick or have an accident or something bad happens and then he rises. That is also possible. So it's very difficult to know for sure, but there are some indications, some clear tangible indications based on the longitudes. Okay, so like this you can see, are there any links between this longitude and this longitude, and then see the aspected planets and the aspecting planet, what they show in the relevant chart. So Mars shows in this chart some disappointment relating to mother, some sad event or sudden unfortunate event relating to mother, or an angry event relating to mother, and this shows sudden rise in career. So there is a link between them, and then you fill in the blanks. So this is how you can combine different divisional charts and find the links between one events relating to one area of life, certain aspects, relevant events of a certain nature in one area of life, influencing events of a certain nature in some other area of life. Okay. Let me
Actually,
take one. Yes.
this brings to a point what we have always been looking at, that whenever you buy a house, it always affects your parents in one way or the other because of the Maraka houses.
It may. It may affect. So if you see that the 4th house or 4th lord in the D4 chart are taking part in some yogas, and those planets involved there are involved with some 8th house in D12 or showing some bad events to mother or father, it could actually have an impact on mother or father. And the thing is, in such cases, of course, you can only see what is possible, and to mitigate it, you can do some propitiation, etc. But you can identify the possibilities. What are the links between different areas of life? So this is basically by correlating the divisional longitudes of planets. You can basically, and looking at conjunctions and aspects across divisional charts, you can see basically some links. And now let's look at the Rasi chart. See, where is Sun? Lagna Lord Sun is in Lagna, right? He's at 5 degree Leo. So he's also being conjoined by this Mars. So at the physical level, Rasi is your physical existence. Sun in Lagna gives power. You get a very powerful position. So that is basically what he, not only there was a sudden rise in career, but it actually made him very powerful physically. There were a lot of trappings of power around him physically. So that is basically this Sun in the D1 chart. Okay. So this is one way in which you can combine multiple divisional charts. You can look at D1 longitudes, D9, D4, D20, D10, D12, D24, etc. All the various divisional charts. See what are the interplays between them, and based on it, you can expect certain things. Okay. Let me give you one more example. This was an example that we saw in a previous session. Dhirubhai Ambani. He was a famous businessman of India. He was a very successful businessman of India. So let's look at his D2 and D10. There will be some links between basically all his career is really related to his financial fortune. Financial fortune and career are really linked. Whereas for somebody else, his learning, his knowledge may be the foundation of his career. For somebody else, the money that he makes, the gambling, the risk taking that he takes in financial matters, the investments he makes, that is the foundation of his career. So let's contrast, let's compare and correlate the D10 chart and the D2 chart of the successful businessman. So if you look at the D2 chart, right, you will see that Like we discussed earlier, there were a couple of things that stood out. Moon and Jupiter, 8th Lord Jupiter in 8th house in Saptaka with the 12th Lord Moon. So this Viparita Rajoga between them on the 8th house axis makes him a gambler, a risk taker. And it was in Jupiter Dasha that he really rose. As soon as Jupiter Dasha started, he separated from his partner, went his own way, and whatever he touched turned into gold. So that was basically what Jupiter did. And apart from it, we said that the Yogakaraka Mars is exalted in the 6th house. And when natural malefics are in the 6th house, they give excellent success. He will vanquish all his enemies. So Mars is really a powerful planet. So we saw these 3 planets, and out of these, see the longitude of Mars in the D2 chart. Where is he? He's at 21 degree Capricorn, 21 degree Capricorn. Okay, so this is where Mars is. And let's see if he has any impact on the D10 chart. In the D10 chart, if you see the D10 chart, you see that Sun is at 23 degree Aries. Okay, Mars here at 21 degree is aspecting Sun at 23. So there is the planet who shows fortune, and 4th house shows building things. So building a organization, building an institution, anything basically, any organization building is 4th house. So organization building and fortune, pursuing fortune and being ruthless about it, because it is Mars in the 6th house. And the ruthless pursuit of these, that basically is influencing, is aspecting Sun. What is it influencing? What does Sun show here? The 9th Lord in the 5th house. And 9th is fortune and 5th is Purapunya. So it shows basically blessings. So whatever he does, all this ruthless pursuit of fortune and building of organizations, this is basically giving rise to his fortune, and his Purapunya is being triggered by that. So that is one thing. And physically, if you look at the D1, physically, where is Mars? Mars is at 25 degree Leo. So this Mars in Capricorn, at what longitude was it? In D2, 23. I forgot. 23. So Mars at 23 is aspecting this Mars at 25. And what does this Mars show again? 5th Lord in the 9th house, just like the D10 chart. So basically somebody at the physical level, this shows Purapunya making the person fortunate. So the planets who are showing Purapunya making the person fortunate in both career and overall in life, these planets are being closely aspected by this Mars. So this is really the foundation for his career and his all well-being and success in life. So this is a really foundational factor. So like this you can see, and in somebody else's case, the D10 planet who's showing success in D10 may actually be influenced by somebody who's strong in D24. So then the learning may be the foundation for that person. Whereas here it is the wealth and ruthless pursuit of wealth is what is making the person fortunate. Let's take one more example. George W. Bush. Bush. So if you take George W. Bush, if you take his D12 father, so if you take D12, in the D12 chart, you see that the 9th house is Leo, right? 9th house is Leo. And actually before we see what it means, let's just see the links. So Mars is in D12. Where is Mars? D12. Mars.
28 Aquarius.
28.
Aquarius at 28 degree. Okay. So Mars is at 28 degree Aquarius in D12. And let's see in D1. What is he doing in D1? In D1 chart, Jupiter is at 20. Mars is at
8th house aspect.
8th house aspect. So Moon at 25 degree Virgo and Jupiter at 26 degree Virgo. They are at close longitudes. And this guy Mars, who's at 28 Aquarius. 28 Aquarius is closely aspecting this Jupiter and Moon. So the Moon and Jupiter, what are they doing? They are giving a Raj Yoga. The Lagna Lord and the 9th Lord are giving a Raj Yoga. And they are both aspecting the 9th house of fortune. So there is a Raj Yoga that makes him overall fortunate in life. And that is being triggered by this Mars. Okay, he's influencing that. And in the The other planet that I want to focus on in D12 is look at Rahu. And we'll see what it means later. Look at Rahu in D12. He's at 16 Taurus, 16 and a half Taurus. And we saw earlier that in D10, the Ghati Lagna was at 15 degree. So this D12 Rahu at 16 Taurus, he is closely aspecting the Ghatika Lagna. And also, if we remember, we saw this many times today. Saturn is in the 5th house in Ghatika Lagna at 15 degree. So Rahu here is triggering this Ghatika Lagna and Saturn very closely. Okay. And Mars here is triggering this Moon Jupiter overall at the physical level, this Rajoga in life. And what do Rahu and Mars show in D12? So there is some link from the D12 with the D10 and Rasi chart. So see the in the D12 chart, 9th house of father is Leo. So this shows the 9th house of father. Father is an authoritative figure, at least as far as the person is concerned from his perspective. So father is shown by Leo. And one powerful thing in this chart is there is a Rajyoga between this Sun and Mars. See, Mars is at 28 degree and Sun is at 21 degree. So there is a reasonably close Rajyoga between the Lagna Lord, 4th Lord and 9th Lord. Yokarka and the Lagna Lord have a Rajyoga. So this basically gives power, success and fortune to the father. And based on the nature of the planets, Mars and Sun, both being political planets and powerful planets, fiery planets, they can be political success for father. And it also helps that Jupiter, the 5th Lord, he is aspecting them and he's at 16 degrees. So aspect on one of them is basically close enough. So he's aspecting, Jupiter is aspecting the Lagna Lord and 9th Lord, and he's the 5th Lord. So and also this is in a quadrant. This Rajoga between Lagna and 9th Lords is in a quadrant. So father is a successful person with some power. But his basic career, if you look at the 12th house, what is his basic career? Saturn and Rahu are in the 12th house, the 7th Lords. So his career involves interacting with people. Saturn and Rahu are the 7th Lords. And Rahu there is exalted, by the way. And for Ketu, Scorpio is the exaltation sign. For Rahu, Taurus is the exaltation sign. So Rahu is exalted there in the 10th house, and he's the 7th Lord. So Saturn and Rahu can show intelligence establishment, spying, etc. He was a highly placed person in the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, the big spy agency of US. He was a very influential person in the CIA, and he grew through that agency, and he had a lot of business contacts. Later on, had many successful businesses, and that's how he came into politics. And the 7th Lord in the 10th house, and also being exalted, shows a lot of contacts, politics, and also with the intelligence community. So that was his passport to success. But also this political Rajoga in the 7th house between Sun and Mars made him president in the end. And that planet having an aspect on this Gajgesari Yoga showed that his father's political success was a key to his overall fortune in life. And secondly, his father's contacts and business contacts, etc. The 7th Lord exalted in the 10th house Rahu. His influence on the Ghatika Lagna in the Rasi, in the D10 chart, that was important for his political success. All the contacts that his father had, those were when McCain was doing well in the primaries. Bush basically raised a lot of money because of his father's contacts, and he suddenly overtook McCain. So all that basically shows that his father's contacts and political, his father's career having an influence on this person's rise and his power, getting power. So if you know that a person's father may have an influence on his career, if you want to judge whether it's a positive influence or negative influence, you can see these links.
No.
And similarly, like you said earlier, you are pursuing political power or something. What will be the impact of that on your marriage or on your career or your residence, your children? You can see all that by seeing what are see the longitudes of planets in D10 and see the relevant divisional chart like Saptamsa you want to see. See where planets are in D7. See are there any links and are they positive or negative. So from those you can see what kind of influence that area of life will have on the other area of life. Now let's take one complicated example where there are just too many strong links. Swami Vivekananda. And let's see the links between his Dasamsa and Vimshamsa. As you expect, Vimshamsa is the chart of Upasana, your own spiritual progress. and Dasyamsa is the chart of the work that you do in the society. Obviously, for a person like Vivekananda, there have to be strong links between those, because his whole career was based on his spiritual learning and spiritual teaching and his spiritual message. So let's see the links between his D20 and D10. First, let's see in the D10, where is Mars? You see that Mars is in D10. Mars and Sun are in D10, and Saturn and Venus are here. So let's see Sun and Mars in D20, D10.
14 Gemini.
Yeah, D10. Yeah. So Mars is at 14 Gemini and Sun is at 24 Gemini. Okay, 14 and actually 15. This is rather 15 and 24. So if you look at D20, there are two planets in Gemini, and one of them is actually is too far. 5 is too far, and 24 is too far. But this 14 and a half and this 1459 are close, right? This one, Mars in D10 and Venus in D20 have a link. Okay, so Venus in D20 and Mars in D10, there is a link between them. There is some interplay. So what does Venus show in D20 and what does Mars show in the Dasyamsa? First of all, Venus in D20 shows 5th and 10th Lord, Yokaraka. So he shows work relating to spiritual sadhana. Basically, 10th house is the house of work. So this shows the spiritual work. Work as a spiritual sadhana, basically. 10th house is the work done as a spiritual sadhana, as a tool of spiritual progress. Work in the society as a tool of spiritual progress. That is what Venus shows. And 5th house. 5th shows Purapunya and the following. So spiritual followers and also spiritual disciples. 5th house in Vimshamsa can show your spiritual sishyas. So all that is shown by Venus. And Mars, what does he show? He shows he's a Yokarka, 4th house of establishing something in the world, like Ramakrishna Mutt. So establishing something, 4th house is the house of building something. And in D10, it is not really building a house, but building an organization. So building an organization, and 9th house, doing dharma, establishing dharma in the world. So that is what Mars shows. So because there is a confluence between those, between the 9th Lord of D10 and the 10th Lord of D20, he engaged in a lot of dharma related work in the society. And he saw that as something that he needed to do and as a part of his sadhana rather than a distraction. For some people, working with the world, teaching various things to the world are a distraction. They want to be absorbed in the real absolute truth. Whereas for some people, this is part of your sadhana that enables you to do that. And Vivekananda was one of those people. And that was because the 10th Lord of D20 and the 9th Lord of D10 are strongly related. And let's see now Mars in D20. If you look at Mars in D20, where is he placed? Because you see that he's here.
29 Leo.
Yeah. So Mars is at 29 Leo. So Mars is at 29 Leo. So you see that Mars is at 29 Leo. And does he have anything in the D10? Is he aspecting or is he conjoining anything in D10? So if you see D10, Jupiter is at 21. But the thing is, I will say 21 and 29 are too far apart. Okay, 8 degrees.
Moon is 24.
Moon is 24 where? In Leo. Yeah, he's conjoining Moon. But even that basically is a little too far. But more than Moon, look at Lagna.
Yes.
Lagna is at 28 and a half. So this Mars is actually conjoining Lagna. And Lagna is your very essence, your very career. So your career is defined, your career is strongly shaped by the Mars of D20. And what does Mars of D20 show? 4th house is the house of having a direction. And 8th house is the house of sadhana, house of mystical experiences. So all the work that he did, because Lagna in D10 is your work itself, was as important part of his sadhana. He saw it as a part of his spiritual sadhana. So there was a link between the Lagna and the 8th Lord of the planet in the 8th house in D20. And now see the 8th Lord. 8th Lord is Sun, right? We saw this, that this planet in the 8th house is linked with D10, Lagna, but see 8th Lord. 8th Lord Jupiter is, Sun is at 18 and 1842, right? He's at 19 degrees Scorpio. And he is with Jupiter here. So all the 8th Lord in D20 shows all the sadhana that you do. So all the sadhana that he did, that was conjoining Jupiter, who was the 5th Lord in the 4th house, showing fame, etc., with respect to all the work in the society. So all the sadhana that he did, the intense tapasya that he did, was basically part of giving him fame. It was basically there was an interaction between the sadhana that he did and the fame that he got in the physical in his career. And also, if you see the D20 chart, there is you see that moon. Where is moon in D20 chart? You see that moon, Mercury, all these planets are in Pisces. So let's see those planets. Let's see where moon is. Moon is at 18-degree Pisces, right? And also Rahu and Ketu are very close. So around 17-18 degree of Pisces, you have moon Ketu combination, showing somebody who's very detached. Moon is the 12th lord of detachment, and Ketu is the Karaka of that. And both of them are in the 8th house, a Moksha Trikona. So they show a lot of, sorry, I'm messing up. So moon is the 7th lord of interacting with people. Moon is the 7th lord of interacting with people, 7th house of interactions. And Ketu is the 11th lord, again another Kama Trikona of fructification of those interactions. And then both of them are together in the 3rd house. So 7th lord and 11th lord are together in the 3rd house. So that shows a lot of interactions with people, lot of dealing with people. Okay, so moon Ketu around 18-degree Pisces, they are basically showing interactions relating to spiritual matters, spiritual wisdom. So if you see their placement, you see that in the D10, in the D10 chart, do they influence anything? Well, you will see in the D24 chart. Let's quickly go to the D24 chart. In the D24 chart, which is basically the chart of your learning, in the chart, where is Mercury? See Mercury?
19.
19 Virgo. So see, in this D24, he's the 5th lord in the 5th house. What does the show? If 5th lord is in the 5th house in somebody's D20, D24, this is a chart of learning. Because one thing you have to remember with Vivekananda is, he's seen as a very sharp intellectual. He's basically, he's a very, very intelligent person. So people who interacted with him were really awestruck by his intelligence, logical thinking. And that was really an important part of spreading his spiritual message. So 5th lord in the 5th house is very important for being a intelligent person, because this is the house of intelligence and he's the Karga of intelligence. So 19-degree Virgo Mercury is being triggered by, or he's aspecting. There's a mutual aspect between him and this moon Ketu combination in the D20 chart. This moon Ketu combination around 18 degree. See 18 here 18.5 degree Pisces and 17-degree Pisces. So that combination, which shows, what does moon show? Like we said earlier, 7th lord in 3rd. 3rd is communications. 7th is interactions, dealing with people. So his interactions with people and his intelligence had a strong interplay. So when he talked to people about spirituality, when he gave speeches or wrote things, it just seemed like, wow, what an intelligent person, what a brilliant person. So that basically is what you would expect when there is that link between D24 and D20. Whereas there may be other gurus, they may just basically, when they teach something, people experience something from them, or they experience some kind of attachment to them, and they like that. They may not think, oh, what an intelligent person. But Vivekananda was particularly known as a sharp intellectual. So that is basically because of these interactions. So like this, you can see the links between various divisional charts. And now let's see the Navamsha chart. If you see the Navamsha chart, in the Navamsha chart of Vivekananda, where is Venus, the Karaka of marriage?
Pisces 14.
He's at Pisces 14. So Venus is at 14-degree Pisces. And Venus is the 6th lord, right? 6th lord who shows brahmacharya. 7th lord shows marriage, but 6th lord shows brahmacharya, and he's exalted. So 14 Pisces is where Venus is. And you will see that these planets who are showing spiritual interactions, they are at around the same longitude. So the other thing is, the planet who shows brahmacharya in the Navamsha chart, in the chart of marital bliss and those matters, they are influencing the D20 interaction. So the thing is, so there is an interplay between this Venus and this moon Ketu. So when Swamiji was in West, when he was in US, there were many occasions when women were throwing themselves on him because he was so attractive. He had a very strong persona. He was very charming, and he was speaking with such force and such intelligence that so many women were attracted to him, and he still kept his brahmacharya. So there is a play between that planet. Whereas if there was an interlink between these planets and somebody having a link with the seventh house or something, there could have been some affairs or something. So here he was very clear. Any interactions were basically as disciples or exchange of knowledge. He was not really interested in having any relations with any of those people. Now, let's also look at the D20 chart. Let's see where Guru is. See Jupiter in D20.
13 Cancer.
13 Cancer. So he's having even closer aspect on these guys.
Yes.
So 13 Cancer from Jupiter, he's the planet of detachment and also communications. So again, the planet of communications in the house of interactions, but he's also the lord of detachment. So he shows the detached communication with people. And that basically is also aspecting this Venus. So that basically sense of detachment and sense of I need to communicate this as my dharma, that was informing his brahmacharya. It was strengthening his brahmacharya. So that was another link between these. And now one thing I want to say is this only for natal charts? Can you do this kind of analysis also in the annual charts? Of course you can. In annual charts also, there is a play between various areas of life, and it may be even more prominent there, because in natal chart you're talking about something that happens over a long period of life. So in annual chart, a particular year, there may be a big spiritual event that happens that shapes your career, or big event that happens to your wife that affects your career. Wife maybe has a health problem and that affects your career. A child has a success and that basically makes you happy, and then you take your career. Maybe you retire because your child is now working. So that kind of things will be seen in the annual chart even better. See, stopping to work because your son joined a job may not be a big deal. It may not be strong enough to show in the natal chart. But in the annual chart, that year is such a big deal. Your son joined work and you decide to retire that year. So that will be a big deal in that years, from the perspective of that year, in the short time range. So it will be even more clearly visible. So you can see this kind of links in the annual charts also. So let's take the same Vivekananda ji. Let's take his Tajika chart of 1893. Is it 93 or 92? Yeah, he was in January and the event was in September. So we take 93 itself. So 1893 January 11 was the Tajika chart made. We just ensure that I have the options correct. Yeah, tropical solar year. This is the option that you want to make sure you have. If you use Aadhar recommended, this should be automatic. Okay, so in this chart, let's see if there are any. First of all, during this year, let's see, are there any indications of, let's first look at D10. Let's see the links between D10 and D20, just like we did in the other chart. So in D10, where is Guru? There is a Raj Yoga in D10. There are a couple of good things happening here. One is the fifth lord Saturn is aspecting the fifth house, showing some fame, right? And the other thing is there is a Raj Yoga here. The ninth lord Venus and the fourth lord Guru are together in the fourth house. So in a quadrant, there is a Raj Yoga. So there is a Raj Yoga between Venus and Jupiter. And I don't know how close they are. Let me check. They're not too close. They're not too close, but there is still a Raj Yoga. And then this Jupiter, who's very powerful. And by the way, if you look at Moon also, from Moon, he's the 10th lord in the 10th house. So Jupiter is a very powerful planet in the middle of the sign. So let's focus on this Jupiter. So does he have any link with does this Jupiter have any link with the D4? He was basically, this came abroad. He traveled for this fame. So let's look at the D4 chart. So how is Jupiter in the D4 chart? In D4, Jupiter is at 12 degrees Sagittarius. So the Lagna Lord Venus, where is he? He is at 12 degrees Sagittarius too. So Lagna Lord Venus and the 8th Lord Jupiter are together in the 8th house of instability. So what does this show? This is a Duryoga. Lagna Lord and 8th Lord together is a Duryoga, right? It shows instability. So this combination around this longitude range, 12 degree Sagittarius, it shows instability relating to residence. So the person will be moving around a lot, and that has a link with, because that is basically very closely conjoining this Rajoga, this strong Jupiter here. It shows basically being away from house and moving a lot, bringing good events in career. That is one thing. And the other thing that I want to show is Saturn, like I said, is an important planet. He's the 5th lord and 5th, showing success in career, showing fame. And are there any links with the D4 chart? Because this came abroad. This didn't come where he was living. So in the D4 chart, look at Rahu. Rahu is at
24 Cancer.
24 Cancer. And where is Saturn? 25 Cancer. So, and what does Rahu show in this D4 chart? Well, he's in the 3rd house of traveling. In D4, 3rd house shows just keep moving, changing your place. You just go from one place, go to another place. You keep changing. You don't have a stable place, because this is the 12th house of giving up from the 4th house of a stable residence. So this is the house of travel, and he's also aspecting the 9th house of abroad, and also he's Karaka for abroad, and he's in Cancer, a watery sign. So Rahu in a watery sign is within a degree or two from this Saturn, who's showing fame in career, right? So, and also if you look at the cusp of the 5th house, that is also a 25 degree Aquarius. So Rahu is actually aspecting that. Not only Saturn of D10 is aspecting that, Rahu of D4 is aspecting that. So basically being away from house and moving a lot, that basically has a link with his success. He travels and he gets success during this time. And finally, we said that the success that he gets has something to do with the his spirituality, right? His spiritual teachings, because all said and done, whatever he taught was relating to spirituality, right? So let's see if there are any links with the D20 chart. So Saturn is at 20 degree. In the D20 chart, you can see that Saturn is at D20, and he's the 9th lord in 9th. So this shows doing your dharma relating to spirituality. So he's and also he's Yokarka. He's a very powerful planet here. So he's at 20 degree. So he's being aspected by, he's being from the D10. He's basically being aspected by from this from here.
Saturn
basically
himself.
there is an aspect between D10 Saturn, who's the 5th lord aspecting 5th, and D20 Saturn, who's the 9th lord in the 9th house. So there is a strong link between those two planets. So like this, you can basically look at the longitudes, but the thing is, then don't just expand the whole sign, just stick to a few degrees of orb, and then see who's aspecting who. And then if there are any strong aspects, you can say that between that area of life and the other area of life, there are links. And the nature of the planets, the two planets in the individual divisional charts, it may be the same planet, it may be different planets, but the nature of those planets will give you links on what the events are. And let's quickly look at Barack Obama. So let's take the 2008 annual chart. He was born in August, and the elections were after that. So we'll see the same year, not the previous year. Because if the event is before your birthday that year, you have to see the previous year. So let's see the 2008 annual chart, and let's take D10. In the D10 chart, the 6th lord is debilitated, which is good for the vanquishing of enemies. But the 5th lord is Mars. So he's a benefic for this chart. He's in the 6th house that shows vanquishing enemies as a natural malefic. So Mars is one planet who shows power. And also Mercury, the 10th lord, is in the 5th house of power. And 9th lord Sun is aspecting Lagna. But let's focus on the 5th lord power. Okay, so that 5th lord of power does he have any link with the Lagna? So let's see the Lagna, because at the ground level, when you are elected as the president, at the ground level, some power is coming to you. Wherever you are going, there is security with you, and there are so many trappings of power at the ground level when something like this happens, being a president. So there has to be a link between D1 and D10 also, right? Like I said earlier, just because in D1 the 10th Lord is strong doesn't mean the person will become powerful. It may mean so many other things. It may be good for children, a lot of knowledge coming, etc. But the thing is, if the fifth house of D10 and the fifth house of Rasi chart have a link, it can show that there is some power, success coming in profession, and that is bringing power at the physical level. So Mars in the D10 chart is where 8 Taurus 11. And where is Venus, the fifth lord of Rasi chart? He's the fifth lord of Rasi chart. He's in Leo. Where is he? He's at 5 degree Leo. So this 8 Taurus Mars is aspecting the 5 Leo Venus. So the fifth lord of Dasamsa is aspecting the fifth lord of Rasi chart. So basically some success in the profession is bringing physical power. At the physical level, there is some power coming to the person. And let's see if we see a similar thing in George Bush for 2000. So George W. Bush. Let's make the 2000 annual chart. Again, the elections were after his birthday. So we'll make the 2000 chart itself. So in the Dasamcha chart, we'll see that, let's see what are the interesting things. The fifth lord, what are the interesting combinations here? The ninth lord, Jupiter, is in fifth house of power. And fourth lord, Mars and Lagna lord are conjoined in the ninth house. There's a Raj Yoga. And fifth lord is in the 10th house. That is a good yoga. Sun in 10th is always good, but if he's fifth lord, that's particularly good. So that shows power during the year. But he's afflicted by Mercury. I don't know how close it is. He's 0 degree and he's 50. So it's not too close, but still he's under Mercury's influence. So that may show some litigation, etc. But in all said and done, he is basically very strong. By the way, is he in the 10th house or not? This is 3 degree. He's at 0 degree. So yeah, he's in the 10th house. Why I looked at it is because he's close to the beginning of the sign. It may be the previous house. So you have to look at the longitude in that case. So Sun is indeed, he's the fifth lord exactly in the 10th house, very close to the cusp of the 10th house. So Sun is an important planet for showing power. This is basically in the D10. D10 is the professional environment. So in his professional environment, there is some power coming to him. But on the ground, is it basically manifesting as some trappings of power in the physical domain? So let's see the D1 chart. Are there any links between this and the D1 chart? Is Sun closely linked with anything linked with the fifth house in the D10? So let's see in the D10 chart. So Ketu is at 1 degree 55 Capricorn, right? He's the fifth lord. He's the fifth co-lord. So fifth lord Ketu is at the beginning of Capricorn, and fifth lord of D10 is also at the beginning of Capricorn. So there is a confluence between the fifth lord of D10 and D1. So you can see that this person will have some power that is really changing their life. Whereas, suppose in my annual chart, one particular year, there is a chance of power, recognition in career. Suppose fifth house is very strong, I may be promoted. I may become from a manager, I may become senior manager or something else. But the thing is, in my D1, it may not really show up very strongly. There may not be any strong link between D10 and D1 because on the ground, I may not feel powerful. My wife may still be yelling at me. My children may still be giving me pain. So all those things are happening. It will just be in the D10. But when you look at political charts, etc., the power translates to the physical domain. It shows basically that sense of achievement is not just in the professional domain, but also in the physical domain. So in such cases, there has to be some link between the D1, D10 and D1 also. Without it, it's unlikely that the event will happen. So you can see the links between the D10 and D1 charts. And now let's see, we saw Ramana Maharshi earlier. We saw his chart in a previous session. So let's see from this context. When he moved from a net in the natal chart also, we saw some links between D4 and D20. Basically all the changes in the residence, etc. But in the annual chart, it should be even more prominent. So let's see the 1896 annual chart. So Ramana Maharshi, 1896. Sorry. I didn't want to show you my other window where when you will see a lot of charts. You will see what charts I have in my computer. I don't want to give visibility. There may be some. Okay, so he was born on 1879 December 30. So this is his birth data. So this is Ramana Maharshi's chart. So I think in one of the previous exercises we ended up replacing his data with George Bush data or something. I probably edited it incorrectly. So okay, so this is his chart because he was born in December and the event happened in July 1896. You want to make an annual chart for 1895. So if you make Tajaka chart for 1895, it was on December 29, 1895. So I want to see the links between D20 and D4 because there was a spiritual experience and that basically transformed his residence. He basically became homeless for a while. He just became a wanderer. So let's see the D20 chart. In the D20 chart, you will see that the 7th lord is in the 8th house, Mars. If you remember, we saw a similar thing in Sivananda's chart. We saw a similar thing in my natal chart, Jupiter 8th lord in the 7th house. In Ramana Maharshi's natal chart also, the 7th lord Saturn was in the 8th house. So this is when you experience something beyond the normal existence. This is a common pattern basically. There will be some Marka combination is likely to be there in the annual chart also in the natal chart and Dasya. So here Mars is the 7th lord in the 8th house, giving some out of body experience, death like experience, which gives you a glimpse of the reality. So in D20, where is Mars? He's at 27 degree Taurus. Okay, so in 20, he's at 27 degree Taurus. So from 27 degree Taurus, does he have any link with the D4? I think I see Mars and Rahu here. So let's see, is there any link with those? So what is the longitude? Mars is at 24 degree and Rahu is at 27 degree. Okay, so this Mars at 27 degree is very closely conjoining Rahu and also Mars here. So Mars and Rahu here are who are in the 4th house of residence. So the 3rd lord, which is basically the 12th lord from the 4th house of house, from the 4th house of having a stable home, he's the 12th lord. And Rahu is the karaka for, in general, karaka for instability and abroad and flux. So Rahu and the 12th lord from this house, they are conjoining the 4th house of home. So this can show during this year, there won't be a stable home for the person. There may be a lot of wandering. And then because there is a link between the longitudes of those planets in the D4 chart, this 26.5 and 24.5 and this 27 here, there is a link between this experience that he had and this change basically. So like this, basically you can see the links. And of course, you can see this in the Tithi Pravesh also. You don't have to just stick to Tajaka chart. I showed Tajaka just as an example. Let's look at Tithi Pravesh. 1895 Tithi Pravesh chart. This is the lunar New Year chart. So in this chart, you will see that, see in D20, look at Jupiter. He's the 7th lord in the 8th house. Again, the same pattern. Like I showed you earlier, if the 7th lord is in 8th or 8th lord is in 7th, this shows, this is bad in other divisional charts. That thing in that area of life. Maybe in career, it can be losing a job or something. But in D20, this is really desirable. This shows experiencing the reality. Temporarily, your search for, what is D20 is the search for truth. And temporarily, your search is coming to an end. You found it. But of course, after that experience is over, your search may continue because you are under the influence of the cells. You may still not be fully convinced that that is the reality, or you may be convinced, but you may not be sure if in the end you will merge in that. So you may still continue to pursue that. But the bottom line is a glimpse of the reality, which is temporary end of your pursuit of reality. And D20 is pursuit of reality. So Jupiter is a key planet in the D20 chart. And where is Jupiter in D20 chart? He's at 16 Capricorn. Okay. So remember this longitude. 16 degree Capricorn is an important longitude in D20, which shows a mystical experience. And let's look at D4 now. In D4, is anybody at 16 degree Capricorn? First of all,
Mars is at 19.
Pardon me?
Mars is at 19.
Mars is at 19. Okay. So in D4, Mars is at 19. No, Mars is at 3 degrees.
No, oh, that is D3.
Oh, Mercury is at 17 and a half.
Yeah.
Mercury at 17.5, when Jupiter is at 1544, when Jupiter is at 16 degree Capricorn, he aspects this Mars who is at 17 degree here, right? So this Jupiter here, who's at what degree? 17 degree, 16 degree. This Jupiter who's at 16 degree is aspecting this Mercury who's at 17 degree, very closely, within a degree. And what does this Mercury show? 12th Lord in the 12th house. So he's the 12th Lord in the 12th house of leaving home and going away to other places. So this also, you saw some indication in the Tajaka chart, and you also saw similar link between these in the Tithi Pravesh chart also. So you can see that there is some chance of leaving the place and mystical experiences. Let's finally look at my chart, and I left my home country on work. So in 1994, so let's take the Tithi Pravesh, one more example of Tithi Pravesh chart, because we did too many in Tajaka but not many in Tithi Pravesh. So let's see another example in Tithi Pravesh chart. So 1994, yeah, it was in November that I left, and April is my birthday, so it is that year itself. So in this chart, in this year, I basically, in pursuit of a good career opportunity, I suddenly got an unexpected opportunity from Korea. So though I came back after my master's at Rice University to India with an intention to settle down in India, I got this opportunity and I thought, I became curious. Okay, I saw West, I know India. Let me see Far East and how it is. So once I left India, I just didn't go back. From Korea, I came to US and stayed here. So see this chart. In this chart, are there any links between D10 and D4? First of all, getting an opportunity, getting a break unexpectedly and pursuing a good opportunity in career is probably this Yogakaraka Mars. See, Mars is the Yogakaraka and he's in a friendly house. So let's see the D10 chart. So D10, Mars is at 1 degree Leo. Okay. So the Yogakaraka in D10 is at 1 degree Leo. And is he aspecting anything in the D4? So because this is basically 5th house of recognition or Purva giving a new opportunity, and 10th house of career, focusing on your work. So he's the planet who's controlling those. So is he or anybody relating to these houses interacting with some change in the Chaturthamsa? So let's see D4 longitudes. Let's go to the screen so that we can see D4 clearly. So you see that Saturn is at 2 Leo. Do you remember where Mars was? 1.5 Leo. So 2 Leo, he's in conjunction. So Saturn is being conjoined. And also, this Rahu is not too far. He's basically at 6 degree 22 minutes in Scorpio. So Mars is aspecting this Rahu and conjoining this Saturn. So pursuit of success and good career is basically triggering in Chaturthamsa Saturn and Rahu. What do they show? 12th house. Saturn is the 12th Lord aspecting the 12th house, right? And Rahu is the 12th Lord in the 9th house in a Jalarasi, in a Vati sign. Rahu is the 12th Lord in 9th house in a Jalarasi. He shows going abroad. And Saturn also 12th house aspecting the 12th. Basically, he shows leaving the motherland and going abroad. So this Mars, basically the connection between those. From this, you can predict that there is a good chance that the person may leave and may go abroad. And from this, you can see that this is a good year for career. But when you combine both of them, you can see that there is a link between them. He will basically, because of career, he will end up leaving the birthplace and going to a different country. Like this, you can see if one event happening in one area of life, if the same event happening in one's life is intersecting with one aspect of one area of life and another aspect of another area of life, you will expect some correlations relating to that in the relevant divisional charts. And that applies to the natal chart, and that also applies to Tajaka and Tithi Pravesh charts. So you can do this. And then there is one thing that I haven't gone through. I'll go into it in a future session. We will have to leave in a couple of minutes, but we will cover in a future session. But you can also correlate the natal longitudes with the annual chart longitudes. There will be and now forget about it, to make it, don't make it too complicated. Don't combine divisional chart. Take the same divisional chart, D24 of natal chart and D24 of annual chart, D20 of natal chart, D20 of annual chart. You can see, because there must be some, see, we correlated the transits already, but annual chart is like a frozen transit, just like stationary transit. It's a frozen transit that shows you how that year is going to be. So between that and the natal chart, there have to be some links. So we will look at, again, you have to really stick to divisional longitudes and look at a small orb for seeing those conjunctions and aspects. So I'll do that in a future session, but what I covered is in the natal chart or in the annual chart, correlating Rasi with various other divisional charts, or correlating multiple divisional charts among themselves, and give it a try. Whatever I taught today is a very important foundation, very important topic, and there is a lot of scope for this particular area. So look at examples and explore a bit, and be very strict. If you can't basically explain something, maybe you're missing something. Maybe there is a house cusp, or maybe some other parameter like Ghatika Lagna, Hora Lagna that you don't know yet, that is being missed. But don't justify based on 15-degree or 20-degree aspects. Those don't really, that doesn't really make sense. Stick to 4-5-degree angle, and try to look at some charts that you know, annual charts as well as natal charts, and maybe some rectification is needed. Maybe Lagna longitude is not accurate. But if you have a good chart, accurate chart, these things do correlate quite reasonably when you look at examples. So please use this foundation to enrich your spiritual, your astrological practice. Okay? Any questions?
Have no fear, we'll all be doing this.
Yes, was
This is
brilliant.
this is almost akin to what you extended the logic of Rashi Tulya Navamsa to all the divisional charts with the longitudes itself.
Exactly.
Yes.
Rashi Tulya Navamsa, Navamsa Tulya Rashi.
Rashi.
And people say you take the Navamsa positions and see them from
Yes.
Rashi Lagna, and see Rashi positions of planets and see it from Navamsa Lagna. It's just a subset of this. And the thing is,
Yes.
when I just look at houses, I'm seeing very, I can justify anything basically. You see too many correlations.
Yes.
When you stick to close contacts based on
Longitudes.
longitude, you will basically identify the crux, identify what is really
Yes.
important. So this is basically Rashtulya Navamsa, Navastul Rasi is like a subset of this, but really generalized so that it loses the precision. So yeah, all these are based on the same foundation, that there is a same zodiac, and Rasis of planets, Navamsas of planets, Dasamsas of planets, Vimsyansas of planets, Siddhamsas of planets, etc. are just putas, longitudes that exist in the zodiac,
Yes.
and there's an interplay between those. It's basically a very simple principle. So these are all really logical. I know that there will be some astrologers who will say, oh, this is all nonsense, this is not granted by rishis, but as I see it, this is all clearly granted by scriptures. It's just
Yes.
that we didn't have precise calculations and things didn't make sense, and hopefully in the next few decades we'll basically consolidate all this into something that is coherent and makes sense.
Yes.
Well, you're leading the way for that, sir. You're leading the way.
People will lead. I just put my seed. This is just the seed, and then there will be people who lead. That's not important. If the time has come, if the time hasn't come, I may put a seed, but there may not be a plant. But hoping that time has come, I'm just putting the seeds. And if that's true, the plants will come. And one important part of spiritual teachings of Sanatana Dharma is, whatever you see as your dharma, you just do the dharma, you plant the seeds, and then don't worry about what comes out of it. Whether this becomes big, a lot of research comes out, people benefit from this or not, that is not my problem.
Without
My
expectation.
dharma is
Yes.
done. Yeah, my dharma is done by doing this. And then let's see what happens in the few decades.
Wonderful. Very, very wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the
Thank
opportunity.
you so much.
Have a good night. Have a nice day and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
We'll see
Thank
you
you.
again soon.
Thank you.
Good night.